Florence Vimino, who joins me now. Hello, Florence.
Hi, Lorna.
So that violent attack on the US consulate in Benghazi on Tuesday is still getting a lot of coverage across the world.
Absolutely. We're going to start by looking at The Independent, that has exclusive information on what they say the inside story of the U.S. envoy, so Chris Stevens' assassination. Now, according to The Independent, the killing of the U.S. ambassador and 3 of his staff was likely the result of a serious security breach. Now, this is according to senior diplomatic sources that they've been in touch with. Now, according to these sources, the U.S. had credible information 48 hours before the attack on the consulate in Benghazi and the protests in front of the embassy in Cairo that the American missions may be targeted, but no warnings were given to diplomats to go on lockdown, according to this article. On top of that, The Independent says that sensitive information documents have gone missing from the consulate in Benghazi. Now, that includes the supposedly secret location of the safe house in Benghazi where staff was evacuated to. That came under attack after that. On top of that, there were lists of Libyans that were helping the Americans, and now they're at risk from extremist groups.
Okay, well, moving to America itself, the Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney is coming under fire a little bit for the critical comments that he made of President Obama's handling of that attack in Libya.
That's right. Romney said that Obama's handling was disgraceful and apologetic. He's gotten a lot of criticism for politicizing the attacks and taking advantage of them to attack Obama. Now, there's several cartoons that mock Mitt Romney. We're going to start with one in The Independent, where you see Romney with an effigy of Obama ready to throw it in the flames of a fire that's been set on fire by anti-American protesters. Now, the International Herald Tribune has a cartoon that points out that his comments probably have turned against him. There you see a very solemn Obama giving a speech, and right next to him is Romney disguised as a clown, desperately trying to grab people's attention. He's saying, "But seriously, folks, let me tell you, first of all, how all this is Obama's fault." And there's a little commentator right at the bottom there that says, "Behold the clown who would be president."
Okay, so not good coverage for him. Meanwhile, a lot of papers also focusing on the protests in Egypt against that controversial video, which is said to have been the spark for that attack in Libya as well, and what those protests in Egypt mean for America.
That's right. There's a very interesting article in the New York Times that points out that though the protests in Egypt weren't nearly as violent, Egypt actually may be a bigger concern than Libya for the White House. It may be a bigger and longer term concern. And the article compares how the governments in Egypt and Libya reacted to the unrest. Now, Libya immediately issued an unequivocal statement of regret for the bloodshed, while in Egypt there was a somewhat slower response. President Mohamed Morsi waited 24 hours before putting a mild rebuke to rioters on his Facebook page. Now, he said that he was for peaceful protests, though he was against the attacks. Now, on top of that, his movement, the Muslim Brotherhood, has called for a second day of protests against the video. Now, it's also interesting to point out that Obama's tone in reaction to these reactions was also different. First of all, like, for instance, for the Libyans, Obama expressed his appreciation for all the help that they'd done, whereas to Morsi, he talked to him on the phone, and supposedly there was no mention whatsoever of appreciation. So according to the New York Times, what's clear is the relations between Egypt and America are changing, and that could very much change the whole situation in the region.
Okay, and finally, an interesting piece in the Christian Science Monitor about how Muslims in America are reacting to these events.
That's right. The Christian Science Monitor wonders if freedom of speech and the reverence for Muhammad can exist, and it points out that the ongoing violence has laid bare this clash of two fundamentally different worldviews, and American Muslims are caught right in the middle. Now, the Christian Science Monitor interviews several of them, and they say that they overwhelmingly reject the violence and broadly support the freedom of speech, but they also feel angry and frustrated and very insulted by this video that went around. Now, they say that they fear that there could be some sort of retaliation against Muslims in America, and in any event, it would increase Islamophobia in America.
Okay, well, thanks very much indeed, Florence, for that look at today's international newspapers. Well, still to come here on Live from Paris, business news with William Edwards. And what has this house got that makes it the most expensive ever to be put on the market in London? Find out all about that and the rest of today's top business stories after the break with William Edwards.